Okay, hi. I'm Nandini Ramani, and I work for Oracle, formerly from Sun Microsystems, always been in Java land, and now continuing to work on Java at Oracle. And I'm here today to give you an update, given the transition from Sun Microsystems to Oracle, a status of where Java is and where we're headed under the stewardship of Oracle. So standard disclaimer, anything I say today, it's not binding. It's not a binding contract toward products we're going to be shipping. So having said that, let me give you an overview of Java. Maybe many of you are already familiar with it, but the various aspects of Java. We have, of course, the Java language, which runs across so many different devices, including small embedded devices like Java Card, Java ME and TV, which run on feature phones and smartphones, lottery machines, all kinds of embedded devices. And then Java SE, which is on the desktop and shipping on millions of laptops, desktops, and higher end. In addition, on the server side, we have Java EE, which is popular, well used. And then Oracle has its own offering in that area as well, which I'll cover a little bit. We have a variety of VMs. We have the CLDC Monty KVM, the CDC CVM, Hotspot, which is on the desktop, and now JRocket from Oracle as well. And given this variety, question is, in today's landscape of where the technology is headed, how do we converge all these, and where's the roadmap of where Java is going? So let me start with JDK, which is on the desktop. I'm not going to cover Java EE. I'm talking more on a client side for this audience. If you have questions about Java EE, happy to answer them, or we can take it offline and you can send me email. So JDK, this has been in progress for several years now. I don't know how many of you have been tracking OpenJDK and the announcements we've been making, but the core of where we're going with this is to increase productivity, integrate modularity, a big pain point for many of us who have been in Java for many years, where, I can't stand the fact that I have to include Corba in my hello world, for instance. So we certainly want to make it modular so you only get the pieces of Java that you need to run your application. That's coming. And then a lot of optimization, something we do in pretty much every release, performance, tuned to processors. And given Oracle now continues to own hardware and software, we're going to be continuing to do that. A lot of monitoring, diagnostics, things like that are going to come from the JRocket Oracle side of things, where that's one of the big wins from the Oracle side. And then Invoke Dynamic, which is going to let us do multiple languages, not just give you access to multiple languages, but with high performance. From a client side, what are our design objectives? One big shift, we are going to be doing HTML5, embracing and extending HTML5, along with what is native for us, which is Java. Programming model, once again, it's going to be Java. And for those of you who are familiar with JavaFX, we launched it, and it used to, till a few months ago, have a scripting language associated with it, a static scripting language, statically typed, but scripting portion into Java. Going forward, we're not going to be supporting that. Instead, what we're going to take is the rest of JavaFX, which is, I'll talk more in detail, but it's like hardware acceleration and update to the client Java stack of SE. In addition, there's going to be interoperability between Java and web technologies, in this particular case, JavaScript and other aspects of HTML5. High-performance graphics, 2D in our next release with 3D transforms, and then full 3D support going forward. And because we're going to do OpenGL and Direct 3D, DirectX, we will be able to run on any device that has support and capability for that sort of thing. So it could be not just desktops, but slates and smartphones, anything. And the fact that we will be doing web technology opens up the platform. So you will see more of that when I double-click on these 4 bullets. The other part is we're going to be having tooling to provide a complete life cycle. So it's not just restricted to an IDE, but you can actually bring visual assets to the platform. Now, switching gears again back to JDK 7 and 8. I don't know how many of you have been following, but IBM has now joined the OpenJDK effort. That was very recent, the announcement. And these are some of the features that are going to go into both JDK 7 and 8. We don't have an official roadmap yet of exact features, but there'll be a split somewhere. So Project Coin, once again, easier coding. Strings in switch, something I would have liked to have a few years ago when I was still coding. Project Lambda, closures, something that JavaFX had, and now we're looking forward to having it in Java, so something, once again, developers have been asking for a long time. Modularity, Project Jigsaw, is another big one. From a client perspective, very important, so we can break up the jars, have versioning, lots of aspects which are all available on OpenJDK. If you have questions, go take a look at it. We have a good roadmap on how we're going to approach this. Likely, closures and modularity will come in JDK 8. And then, of course, Invoke Dynamic, which you'll probably see in JDK 7. JDK convergence. So like I mentioned in the beginning, we have JRocket, which is the Oracle VM, and then we have Hotspot. So one of the big things that are going on right now, both the teams are working together. So we have one VM. Like I said already, we have a lot of VMs, and we certainly want to make sure that we converge and have something that'll work well on multiple platforms. So JRocket, as you can see, they focus on server-side scalability. They have the JRocket Mission Control, JRocket Real-Time, and JRocket Virtualization Edition. So these are the sort of things that we want to bring into the Hotspot code base. Don't know what the new VM is going to be called yet, but stay tuned and it'll come. This isn't in the next summer release, but it'll follow. I don't have the exact dates for the roadmap, but this, I think, from our perspective, is going to be very exciting. And the same VM will now also go into embedded SC, which will be in offerings on the embedded and smaller devices. I guess the rest of this is just reinforcing the fact that Oracle's very committed to making this happen, clearly, and Hotspot is a big player in it. Since my focus is client, the rest of the presentation I'm going to focus primarily on client with some slides on Java ME and just where mobile is headed, whether it's ME or outside of it. So from a client perspective, here's what we're going to be doing. We're going to make the Java client easy to create rich client applications. And somebody outside was teasing me about the write once, run anywhere promise of Java, and we still strive to do that. And as you will see in the rest of the slide, we're really working hard to make that happen. And the programming model will continue to be Java. So no learning curve for a new language. So all the APIs for the scene graph, media, animations, all the things that JavaFX itself brings, we're opening up Java APIs for all of them. And we're going to open source the UI controls next year. And then, of course, it'll have all the standard features of internationalization and accessibility. Going to have 2D, 3D vector graphics, ability to embed HTML inside Java, ability to embed Java in HTML, which today we already do in browsers, and interop between the two. And since all of you here, I assume, are Java developers, I don't have to tell you the power of Java. Generics, annotations, great tooling support, multi-threading, lots of things that we were missing in JavaFX, now we automatically get just by moving to core Java. Okay, so as I mentioned last time, we're going to have hardware acceleration. So we're going to support OpenGL. We already did in the previous releases of JavaFX, and we continue to work more toward that end. We're going to be doing a lot of simplification with effects, shadows, and blurs, and things like that. And I'll show you demos of what's available today and what you will see in the next release. 3D transforms available today, as you will see in the demos, and then full 3D model support will come in the follow-on releases. DirectX and OpenGL. I mean, we could support OpenGL across the board, but we're having issues with drivers on Windows, so that's main reason for supporting DirectX on Windows. And like I said, we're going to have tooling support in NetBeans to start with and potentially other IDEs, as well as visual debuggers and things to simplify programming and in Java. Okay, so I mentioned the write once, run anywhere. So this is where this is new, brand new to the Java platform. We have what we're calling JavaFX APIs, which are basically Java. And being able to write in Java, all of these APIs will be accessible through any language that today can run on the JVM. So that's another big win. So you can choose your language of choice and use the scene graph and all the other APIs we're going to open up. We have a JavaFX toolkit, of course, which then delegates to either D3D, OpenGL, or we're going to, in some cases where there is no hardware acceleration, we will drop down to Java 2D or a version of Java 2D for software rendering as well. And all of this will run today on the hotspot VM, and when we converge, it'll run on this new converged JVM. And then you can see in the red on my right side, your left side, we also are going to have a web toolkit, a Java web toolkit, which will translate these same Java APIs and let you run this in a browser plugin-less, basically allow the render portion of it to happen through the browser. So this is new, and what this allows is on devices that either cannot or are forbidden to run the Java VM, it gives us an opportunity to still write the code in Java and then be able to run it on devices that either do not support or you just choose to do that via HTML. I don't know if you can see all of that, but these are the sort of a sampling of the APIs you're going to see. And in addition to this, of course, all the Java APIs are allowed into what we're calling the JavaFX platform, which is our next generation client. So we have transforms, input events, drag and drop, scene graph. And on the top of all of this, we have charts and controls, which is Swing-like in some sense, but brand new, lightweight, none of that heavyweight, lightweight mixing issues that I used to deal with way back when I wrote Swing code. So these are today's APIs, and there's media as well. I don't see it here, but we have media. We're going to have access to HTML through the web node. So if you have questions, you can take a look at these slides. Here's the roadmap, our release plan for JavaFX. It says here, I mean, Oracle's an enterprise company, so our goal, of course, is to try and help build. Oracle in itself has over 10,000 Java developers just within Oracle. So, of course, they're going to be our first primary target to make sure that our APIs are viable and usable. And they're already working with us. We are going to have graphics and media, like I said, and some of the demos you see will show you those capabilities. Primary programming language is Java, which you can deploy either in a browser via the HTML version or on the JVM itself. We're improving deployment. I know for the longest time, applets have sucked. And so we're finally, Oracle's very committed to fixing all these things, and we are working hard to make it lightweight, more reliable, more robust, improving startup time, and all the things we've been wanting to do for years. We're actually focused on doing exactly that. We're going to have web support, good interop between Java, JavaScript, and HTML. And we're also working on a designer tool, roadmap unclear. We're hoping to have an alpha version early next year. That'll be followed by JavaScript support in the VM. So it'll be a first-class language, and then that'll allow us to interoperate between Java and JavaScript, as opposed to having to use invoke dynamic and write just JavaScript on its own. The deploy to HTML5, which I was calling plugin-less deployment, that's coming. Plus, we'll have 3D and other enhancements to the core Java platform in 2012. Okay, so this is, in a nutshell, all the features that we are working on. First thing, we've released JavaFX 1.3. This was, I believe, in April or May. And from there, we're going to port existing JavaFX scripts. So JavaFX scripts had some really nice language features. I don't know if any of you have coded in it, but things like bind, which let you do a dependency-based evaluation, something that you don't have to monitor, and the platform, the language lets you do that. Those kind of things, we're not bringing it into the language yet, but we're certainly going to have APIs and libraries that will let you use those kind of features, object literals. There's a bunch of things that JavaFX provided, which we're going to bring through libraries to JavaFX, the new Java client. I have a list there that says sequence or observable list and things like that. Hardware accelerated graphics, animated transitions. These are all out of the box, so you can just make a call and say ease in, ease out, and you'll get the texture paint, media playback, web node. Basically, those two, the last two bullets are web node. All of these will be available in early access first quarter of next year. So if you're interested and you want to sign up and try it, please reach out, and we are happy to give you bits to try, and we're looking for feedback. That'll be followed by a beta version in Q2 of next year, which will have pretty much most of what we want to deliver on, including CSS animations and HTML DOM support, full screen video, and so on and so forth. And finally, at GA is when we want to have a plugin for this new, what we call the Prism pipeline, which is a hardware accelerated graphics pipeline, which doesn't need AWT Swing or Java 2D, but will run independent of that just on the new stack. And which, when modularity comes into the picture, will be really powerful because you don't have to load all these other jars. You'll have a really lightweight system where the hardware does all the work for you, and Prism is just this lightweight stack. We also have a new windowing toolkit that's like AWT, but not AWT. And then we'll have rich text, and that's still TBD. We're wondering how rich of a text we're going to supply, but hopefully in our first version, we'll have something that we can build enterprise applications with. Okay, that was the client, and what the client piece will sit on, as I said, any VM that's higher than CDC, basically. Our goal is not to put this on the low-end feature phones, but anything beyond that we will run on. So having said that, we have mobile devices that already run Java. Java ME is abundant in many, in the feature phone market. And if you look at the strategy for the mobile space, it's similar to what we're trying to do with both client and the desktop. We're going to upgrade the VM and add more supporting libraries that bring it in line with the SE platform, so there's richer capabilities. We're also going to do the same thing as what I just talked about in client, which is add web and ability to have widgets and web applications. Interoperability, and one of the other things is we're going to take some of the features that are today, the APIs that are in the embedded space, and also bring them into JavaFX. For instance, access to Bluetooth, location, things like that. Java on the desktop today doesn't have it. With JavaFX, that's one of the things we'd really like to do. So, converging the two platforms so that it's usable across the board on multiple devices. Better interop with scripting and dynamic languages, same as what I just finished saying for client. So, very similar strategy, trying to converge basically mobile outside of the existing CLDC market, which will continue as it has been. It's being used abundantly, and it'll continue to focus on that. And outside of that, everything else will be converging toward a desktop is our goal. So mobile.next is the project that I just talked about, where we're going to update the libraries and optional packages and language capabilities as well. This will be done through the JCP, through a JSR for ME, which we're calling ME Next for lack of name yet. And then web technologies is identical. We have a bridge. We're going to use WebKit. We're also going to do the same thing on the client side. So both the teams, it's basically the same team. They're going to take the same thing and run it on mobile as opposed to on the desktop. Access to hardware and OS features essential for in the mobile space. And of course, HTML5 is going to give us some of those possibilities as well. Small footprint, something that the desktop has lacked. and something that we're trying to bring into the desktop side, which Java ME has done really well for years. TV as a platform itself is very close in capabilities to a desktop. The last one I saw, in fact, I'd say more capable than some of the laptops I've seen. It has hardware acceleration. It's able to run, all the demos you're going to see will run really well on TV as well. And we have Java running on Blu-ray, but of course the spec moves at its own pace, so I don't know when we'll be updating that spec, but we're certainly going to be working with GEM and all those other standard bodies to make that happen. Cards, it's already there. Java Card is a big market for us, and we will continue to invest and support that. These are some sampling of devices and markets that we are today present in. Let's see. Here where you can go and look at features and things that are available today. For roadmap for JavaFX is on javafx.com. There's JDK 7 has a feature list, and I think it has a backlog, which is for JDK 8, which hasn't been mapped yet, but is in the works. We hope to be filing JSRs for these shortly. NetBeans roadmap is, netbeans.org, and Java ME, of course, at Java ME. Now, with that, I'm going to do some demos before we go to Q&A. All right. So I'm going to start with basic 2D. So this, of course, many platforms have had animations, basic 2D, shapes, blurs, and things like that for a long time. We have that in Java as well. JavaFX has it with the scene graph. So what you see here is circles, standard basic shapes with some blurs. So we have layers of circles and layers of blurs, to which you can add a layer of just the blur. What I'm showing you is in JavaFX, this sort of thing is really easy to do. You create a layer of different shapes, a layer of blurs, and then to which you can add more circles. Wow, that's a lot of circles. And then one gradient, a color gradient. So if you add all of these and then apply a blend mode, you can get nice effects like these where, it's a few lines of code and you get something that looks visually very appealing. This is just for standard basic 2D. Nothing big, and I understand it's no big deal, but it's concise and out of the box, most of these effects. Now next, moving from basic shapes, say you want to create something like a coffee cup. How would you do that? You first start with a wireframe, which is done just as you see here, to which you then add shadows, blurs, inner shadows in this case on the inside of the cup, and of course some creativity to make it look nice. And then we have a production suite where you can import assets from Photoshop and Illustrator. Also other tools going forward. You can use assets from that into this, both as vector graphics, SVG, or images. And then say you want to have steam on the top of the cup, you can use the circles that you had from the previous applications and animate them. And animation is just a one-liner in JavaFX. And then if you want to get even more fancy and add steam and things, to that cup, the way you do it is you create paths, so you can do an animation along a path and then let the circles float along these paths. So you have those sort of, there you go, to make it more interesting. And admittedly, enterprise applications, you're not going to need to create a coffee cup, but I'm just trying to demonstrate that these kind of features are easy. It takes very little time to build this sort of a demo in Java. Or it will next year when we release the platform, anyway. This is a multi-touch hockey game. I suck at it, but, well, maybe I don't. I wanted to show this to you on a touch screen monitor because we do have multi-touch and it works with the touch monitor, but we had a little bit of a space issue here, and so I'm just running it off the laptop, but I do have it and it will work with multi-touch. So like I was saying earlier, part of the goal with Java Client is to provide a rich set of APIs so you could do things like this and add physics engines and fun stuff like that. And if you look at this demo, this isn't an image. This is all done using vector graphics. And these sort of shapes, like the hockey puck and the paddle, are done by grouping objects in a scene graph. Basically, you create basic shapes and then add shadows and blurs and things to create that compound object. And because of our Prism graphics pipeline, there's no degradation, and we do 60 frames per second. In fact, I have a little monitor that tracks this sort of thing. And even if you look at the edges of the table, that's also done with lighting and shadows and things to make it more realistic. Okay, so this was another demo. Now let's go. I'll show you something with that you might use in an enterprise application. So this is in a 3D world, creating charts. It's just to demonstrate that you can make attractive looking things even in an enterprise app. And the reason I say this is we were talking to some of the banking customers, and to me, banks are the most conservative in their user interface. And even they want more appealing, attractive looking, because they were saying, oh, we want to see our stock quotes animate and come in front. So then the writing's on the wall, I think. The enterprise application space is certainly converging with what is traditionally consumer. So just an example of things that you can do using the new Java client. Have all these individual cubes floating around for making charts. And okay, and then okay, so this is a video wall, basically, of streaming videos. There's a bunch of them on the wall. And if you notice, the wall has a curvature. So it's not a flat wall. And that's what I meant when I said you can use 3D transforms. So it's basically taking 2D videos and applying that video to the inside of a cylinder to give it the 3D appearance. At the bottom, you see there's a little text box, which is a standard control in the new client that we're going to release. And this is, we'll have others, tables and grids and things, but certainly something as simple as this. It allows CSS styling. So when I type into this box, you'll see that it searches on the tags of the videos and picks up the videos that have what I'm looking for, if I want to play an animation or things like that. Once again, if you look at the bottom, you see that there's a display shelf here. And this display shelf, once again, is doing the same thing that I told you earlier, where it takes the 2D video images and lays them out using 3D transforms. So I have an animation. Say I want to play this video.
Oh, somebody's got a frowny face. Okay.
You can play a video in full screen.
It just shot me!
And then you can take that, explode it into multiple views of the same video, and then reform it into a 3D. Basically, once again, showing you that simple transforms can create nice visual effects. So far, everything you've seen, and notice all the videos continue to play. There's no degradation. This is just your average laptop. And it does have a GPU. It has a card on which hardware acceleration is taking place, so there's a good split between CPU and GPU. But outside of that, it's just your everyday laptop. Now, everything you saw here is interactive, dynamic, visually appealing, attractive. Now, say I want to make it even more immersive and cinematic. I can go back once more to the 3D world I just showed you in the chart demo. So what this does, well, it looks better on mine. I'm sorry about the resolution. But what this is doing, it has, the ball is floating down. I don't know if you can see it. And that's done by providing physics into this world, into a 3D world. So we have 3D camera APIs. And then physics is providing gravity, which brought the ball down, the video ball, which is playing. And the cube wall that you saw on the back, the panel, is made up of cubes with the video once again playing. And I can fire at it. And this particular scene has a lot going on. It has over 15,000 nodes in the scene graph with audio, video, 2D physics, lots going on, and this is running well on my, laptop, essentially. So, and then of course I can. So that was some of the capabilities, and I could have shown an enterprise app, but I figured this would be more fun and just show you a variety of features. But so we are going to have early access and a beta program, partner program. You can go sign up on javafx.com. If you have questions and things, we're happy to answer them. And that's basically where we're going with Java at Oracle. Questions? Yeah?
Is that based on Google Web Toolkit?
Well, we're certainly considering it. It's not, but it's the same sort of concept.
So you're doing another type of implementation of the same?
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, we'll have an implementation which may or may not be GWT based. Yeah.
For the 3D functionality to OpenGL and DirectX, will you be able to code independent of the underlying implementation?
Are you asking, are we going to open up the APIs to you directly?
No, I'm actually asking if you can write abstractly, not writing specific OpenGL code or specific
Oh, yeah,
DirectX
we're
code.
going to open up the API so you can actually write to 3D, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Although, I don't know, I mean, maybe you can tell me this, but do people actually like writing to 3D APIs? Yeah.
I would prefer not to have a branch of code that is for DirectX and a branch of code that's for OpenGL.
Oh, so you'd prefer one set of APIs, which is where we're going with that. Okay.
Yeah, I'd prefer
Yeah.
to have the underlying structure take care of the
Oh,
nuances.
perfect. Okay, so we will have APIs directly in Java for you to use, yes. Is that it? No more questions?
Are you planning to offer some other, like, I guess right now Android has sort of the market share for Java in the mobile space, but are you planning to offer like an alternative to that, or you guys are going to settle and business will go about and Android can continue to
I have no
power?
comment on the lawsuit, but we're certainly going to have a lot of Java offerings as we always have. Nice try, though.
Actually, since there's apparently some time, I mean, do you have anything to say about the Java EE?
Well, they're continuing down the same path they always have. They just released one. They have a clear roadmap. They have, I mean, I think overall it's a well-funded area. Sun funded it well. There's no surprises there. I think on the client, Sun did not do that. We kind of did swing and then we fell asleep for a few years. And so I think most of the change is in on the client end, both Java SE and other areas. But EE is still on track. They're going to release another one. They have a clear roadmap. They have, support in the JCP. It's all goodness, I think. So, not that they're not doing a great job. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying there's, less to say about EE.
This is related to application server. I mean, it takes a lot of time to build a Java web application. I mean, a web application thing. And now we see Ruby on Rails or something else. So, is that kind of architecture going with Java?
Actually, it's interesting you ask me that. I think I should let Jay answer that. He's been pushing. He's from product marketing for us, and he's been pushing very hard to have more elegant solutions there. The answer is yes, we certainly want to do that. Go ahead, Jay.
Well, the first thing is there are quite a few solutions right now that you could use. Not all of them standard Java, but Java E6 has lots more features. I mean, if you look at just creating EJBs and all that, it's way, way much more easier with Java EE6. This dependency injection that Spring introduced with Java EE6 is way more easier now. I know JSF is still fairly complex to create apps, but JSF2 has cut down a lot of complications in creating complex applications. So, but we totally realize which way the development world is headed. Ruby on Rails, it has really changed things dramatically, and with GWT things are much more easier. There's this framework based on GWT which does Ruby on Rails kind of things. So we are definitely cognizant of it, and to some extent the web approach that we will introduce moving forward will take care of a lot of those things. So yes, the short answer yes, long answer, well, we can't share the specifics as of now, but definitely on our radar.
But I'm sure he's going to be quoting you at every meeting and saying, oh, at PayPal they were asking for it, you have to add it to your roadmap. So it's there, it's just not right, something we want to do right away. Okay, are we done? Well, we're in conversations. We're certainly figuring out what we want to do around that. So stay tuned in the next few weeks for more information. Yep. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
On the Mac side, do you think in the future there's any possibility of supporting Quartz Extreme, similar to how you support DirectX?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, in fact, you know, if I had my way, I would support OpenMax and all the other things that are out there. Today, this is all we have support for, and I'd really like to ship so people can start using it. But longer term, certainly, I would like to have more support, to your point, yes. Okay, I think we're done, and if you need, I'm going to be here wrapping up, so if you have questions, you can always come back.